of the three, the Baltimore Sun was the one that I didn't get much interest from.
And what were the immediate and long-term consequences of blowing the whistle?
Oh, I was fired, of course.
And what year were you fired?
I was fired in 2005.
Okay. And has there been any long-term impact since then?
Define long-term
Well,
impact.
obviously you were fired, but
I've been blacklisted.
blacklisted.
Yes, for anything involving the community in my field of.
In terms of getting work and things
Yes.
of that nature. Okay. Thanks very much. I appreciate it, Russ.
No worries.
You're Phil Benning?
Pardon?
You're William Benning?
No, I'm Russ Tice.
Oh, Rose Tice, go shake your hand.
Sure.
Nice to meet you. Glad you can make it.
It's good to be here. I'm glad to
Yeah,
hang out and put a sign on. This is the first time I've ever done this. You know,
What?
this is the first time I've ever done this publicly. Is protest something. So this is.
Okay, I was down here for the anti-war day.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Isn't this cool? Yeah. Where's the love beads and the hippies and the flowers in the hair and all that good stuff?
What's going on?
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Keith Pantaleon from
Howdy.
wearechange.org, and I basically would like you to sum up your story and basically how you were part of the intelligence community. I overheard part of the interview, and I was wondering if you would be willing to recap.
Recap. What do you want to know first?
Who are you? How did you get involved? What made you become a whistleblower? And basically, what happened afterwards?
Well, I found out that NSA was illegally spying on American citizens domestically. We were taking our capabilities and we were turning them against the American people. That was a brick in the head for me, being a lifelong Republican, lifelong, we're going to save the world for democracy kind of guy. So it was sort of like finding out your beloved mother is a crack whore. it was pretty nasty. So
And what year was this?
did I found this out?
Yes.
2002, 2003 time frame.
Okay. And are there any specifics that you're able to talk about that led up to how you discovered that the NSA was illegally spying domestically? Anything you're able to share, that you're willing to share?
Well, it was because of my job, and I was going for support for something that I was doing in the black world, in information operations, and then when I was going for this support, I found out that NSA was using space capabilities to spy on American citizens domestically.
Oh, okay. So basically, you were an analyst.
Yes.
Okay.
And in operations also.
Okay. So almost like boots on the ground.
I would go overseas, yes, on numerous occasions to participate in operations, yeah.
So sort of like the guy who sits in the van, if you will, or. I'm not.
Sort of.
Okay.
The guy who goes out in the field with maybe some military people and doing spooky things in places you're not supposed to be.
Ah, okay.
How's that? Which
Excellent.
I still am not going to talk about.
So after making this discovery, so how did you go about whistleblowing? Like that's what I'm most interested. Like, did you speak to your superiors?
No, I knew that the NSA IG was corrupt and co-opted by our own agency. So I went to one of my senior people that I worked with, a senior analyst, and I told him that I knew something that was kind of horrible. And he said, "Don't tell me." I said, "I won't." I said, "What do I do?" And he said, "First of all, make sure you're right about it, and be careful what you do, because his advice was NSA eats their own." And at that time, I was considered a rising star in the agency. But he said they'll eat their own. He was right.
So what are some of the things that they did once they found out you were a whistleblower?
They put me in they took my clearance and they put me in the motor pool as a punitive action. And I think they expected me to grovel too. So, and that wasn't happening.
So
not my personality.
So after they realized that wasn't going to happen, what was their next course of action?
Well, then I started contacting Congress, and they didn't like that either. So Congress was useless, though. Everything I was telling Congress was going right back to NSA.
All
which
right.
is why we need to get rid of Congress and get a new one.
Absolutely.
Um,
So, what message would you give out to any potential whistleblowers out there that come across a similar situation that you came across? What would you advise them to do, and how to go about it?
don't trust the chain of command. Number one, don't ever trust the chain. The chain of command is there to wrap the chain around your throat and choke you to death with. I would say stay where you are and leak the information without anyone knowing that it came from you. I mean, be very careful. Wipe your fingerprints off documents. Do everything. Stay where you're at. Learn how to beat the polygraph. Beating the polygraph is the key. And my friends at NSA have all learned how to beat the polygraph. So, and it's easy to beat a polygraph, real easy. So once you beat a polygraph, stay where you're at. Be careful. Be careful of the press too, because I mean, the New York Times with stuff that I've given them other people, they went right to the government with it. What the hell? And then they held on for it for over a year. We were waiting for the information to come out. We're like, what the hell? Month after month after month, nothing. So be careful.
What year was that? What years was that?
2004, 2005.
So you were the 2005, the New York Times article.
Yeah.
What about going to alternative press like Infowars or We Are Change or?
Here's the thing: if you call them on a cell phone, you're dead, and we know that, you know. So I would say get it to the reporters without even the reporters knowing who you are. Like something like WikiLeaks, or drop it into somebody's mailbox or something. Don't let them know who you are, because quite often the press themselves will finger you. So be careful. If you're a whistleblower, be real careful.
So I'm assuming that you heard what happened to the Washington Times reporter, the illegal rape?
Jim Rising.
Yes. What advice would you have for any journalist who comes across a whistleblower or information from a whistleblower? How would you advise them to handle the information for their safety and their sources' safety?
Well, at the very beginning, remember, NSA put a crazy label on my head on purpose. They declared me crazy 9 months after my routine psych eval, which I passed with flying color like every other psych eval I ever had in my entire career. They did it on purpose because they knew, because I threatened to go to the press. They knew if I went to the press, they'd tell the press, "This guy's crazy. You can't listen to him. He's a nut job." And that's exactly what they told the press. Exactly. So, for a long time, I was the only NSA whistleblower, the only guy. And NSA said I was crazy. So, not too many people wanted to listen to the crazy guy.
So reporters should listen to the crazy guy and do due diligence, or what
Yes.
Okay.
When I'm going to reporters, and like me and Jim and Eric, Jim Rising and Eric Lickball, we went to a restaurant, and at 2:30 there was no one in the restaurant, one of their favorite little haunts, and we went to the very back corner of the restaurant, and then all of a sudden all the tables around that little corner filled up with people. The rest of the place was still empty, and Jim and Eric were oblivious to what was going on. And I'm looking, I'm going, guys, this is your favorite place. Don't you see what's going on here? They were like, no clue. When I suggested using throwaway cell phones, I've probably gone through 80 throwaway cell phones. Sometimes just 2 or 3 conversations and get rid of it. And the reporters are like, "Oh, you must be paranoid. You want to use throwaway cell phones." I knew then that journalists were being wiretapped by